Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Watching. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk movies. Doing a rapid fire this week, so let's hit it. Alright, I dig it. Granted, it's a pretty standard action revenge thriller. You have a family that dies from an incident by a bad guy. The protagonist goes on a hunt for said asshole, leaves behind no trail of bodies and explosions. So, does it do anything particularly new or amazing? No. It just has Blake Lively putting on an English accent, going from fish out of water to full-blown shark. Her performance in the beginning might be more compelling, as she convincingly plays a soul-crushed, drug-addicted prostitute who is twitchy as hell and gets right that excessive exercise during withdrawal will get her to throw up. But all that is done and over with pretty fast. Still, I enjoy action characters like Stephanie, who have a goal in mind and are always moving forward with it. Basically, I like determined characters. The action is pretty hard-hitting and mostly well done. It's not very over the top, like she'll cringe whenever someone shoots at her, but she's clearly capable of putting up a good fight. She isn't entirely convincing when she's trying to be intimidating, but that's obviously the point. Like, she's just trying to wing her lines. But her lack of confidence is actually kind of in service to making her all the more convincing. It's kind of weird in that way, but in a way that really worked for me. As for any negatives, yeah, I've got a few. The soundtrack and score brutalizes the tone of the story. It's like someone thought the story was too serious and humor and fun was thrown in to lighten the mood. While some of that kind of works during Stephanie's training with Jude Law's character, it's mostly pretty random and unwarranted. I also might say that while I like that Stephanie is a determined character, the story itself goes all over the place, making her take contracts that don't really forward the story. Maybe it's supposed to be practical training for her so she can get used to killing, but it's all fluff. It's nothing special, and certainly better action films have been made. It's junk food cinema. It exists solely for the purpose of killing off 90 minutes, so don't go in expecting the next big action. If you're good just watching Lively shoot a bunch of bad guys, then this probably isn't a bad way to go. But if you're looking for something more substantial, then I'd say pass on this. I consider myself a casual fan of Lively, so I'm really not complaining too much. My honest rating for the rhythm section, a 3 out of 5.
I have a family!
Faster!
I just do data entry!
Yeah, this wasn't that great. Mostly pretty boring. Did not work for me. I might admit that there is an admirable haunted funhouse quality to The Witch's House. Dimly lit, creepy atmosphere, nice mysterious things that crop up. I could see this being a hit as something like Knott's Scary Farm or Hollywood Horror Nights, but that's about all it's got going for it. I have no idea why the witch is trying to teach Gretel how to do magic when it can obviously be used against her. More than anything, its mystery has a pretty lame resolution. The ending feels like it's happening because even the gore and violence doesn't feel that shocking considering how boring the rest of the movie feels. The acting especially feels off, like they're trying too hard with nothing to work with. I know that's no fault on the actors, that's purely a script issue, but it's highly distracting. I don't know what else to say about it. It's nothing special, nothing worth seeing, even if you are a fan of Sophia Lillis. Honestly, it just doesn't have a lot going for it, so I'm just gonna say pass. My honest rating for Gretel and Hansel, a weak 3 out of 5. Oh, this ain't gonna be for everybody. All it is a white-collar, day-in-the-life kind of flick. No high drama, no high stakes. So bear that in mind if you go see this. Here's what I like. I relate to the soul-crushing, no-energy, life-hating performance that Julia Garner puts on, and I feel like I understand what this flick is going for. Some not-so-subtle male dominance going around, the whole behind-the-scenes of the film industry sort of deal. I admit that I enjoy catching the little things of what's going on, like her boss has all these affairs, he's an asshole himself, he has a crazy wife, Garner's character has some insecurities, a bit of a jealous streak, and is definitely timid when dealing with stronger personalities than her, even when she's just trying to do the right thing. The issue with the flick, which will be what turns most people off to it, is that it doesn't really amount to much. As previously stated, there's no high drama or stakes. Nearly every single conflict introduced has no real resolution, is put on hold for another sleazy thing to happen, or is completely dropped like a sack of potatoes, never to be revisited. Even the ending of the film just has this inconsequential feel to it. Overall, it's boring and not all that good. Yes, there are things I can appreciate, like Garner's acting, but the plot is non-existent, all the subplots are left wide open, and I just don't think I can recommend this to anyone, even if I don't think it's all bad. My honest rating for The Assistant, a 3 out of 5. Not my cup of tea. 2.5 hours of boring. I admit that the movie kind of had me in the first half. Pretty standard stuff, showing off a couple of Cosa Nostra gangs trying to be civil with each other, then one starts killing off the other while the leader of the dying family is in hiding. He's arrested, but makes friends with the judge, puts away other members of the Cosa Nostra in courtrooms with jail cells in them, which led to some pretty great moments. This is also where the movie drops the ball. Littered throughout the story are nightmares that Tommaso has. They don't really add up to much. Also, and this is the biggest thing, many of the scenes drag on for way too long. While that can work in its favor, like any scene with the council member guys trying to keep the inmates quiet during the hearings, looking more like frustrated teachers trying to calm children in a classroom. But when that's repeated several times for prolonged periods, it starts grating to the point where I almost had to fight to stay awake. The movie almost had something when Tommaso and his family are relocated to America, but even that kind of just feels like it's thrown in there, because he just goes back to continue his courtroom battles against the remaining Cosa Nostra guys. Essentially, it's a courtroom drama without compelling drama. Now, I understand that this is the story about the guy who brought down the mafia, but it's not as interesting as one would imagine. Maybe this has more relevance to, more cultural relevance to Italy and Sicily, but for my money's worth, it wasn't portrayed in a way that worked for me. My honest rating for The Traitor, a 3 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Hope to see you soon.